YouTube. And you know that this morning we put the subject of what we need to do with the current stalemate when it comes to cocoa. And we know that, well, Cote d'Ivoire also is in the mix in there. But at the end of the day, the president had said by way of a policy direction, we will be processing our cocoa beans. And the question we're asking this morning really is that the solution? If that is partly or, well, largely the solution, what then needs to be done? Because at the end of the day, there needs to be production. Once there's production, there needs to be off-taking of the product, etc. And you off-take from the farmers. And the farmers say you need to pay them, all right? But critically also, we'll also be taking a look at all that has happened when it comes to the travel advisory that has already been issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's also in relation to all that has happened to a number of Ghanaians. Initially 7 had passed on. Now the number increased by 1 to 8. So we have some 3 or 4 others also injured. Evacuations have been undertaken. What does it mean so far? And so we have our discussant in the studio. I'll do some quick introduction. I have Zato. Dr. Zato, you join us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Roland. If I could just say something quickly. All these people are dressed as if they are going for a wedding. And they are all wearing suit brand giants. Sitting there, Solomon, I see they say. Meanwhile, when they say we should wear fugu, what is it? Adam, you are honorable. Your colleague minister said we should do this. You've disobeyed that directive. You should have been wearing smokes. Fifth, I've never met you. This is the first time. You too. So you should tell us why you refuse to obey the government instructions that you should wear. We should wear.
Already introduced us.
Yes, I've
right.
And quickly say Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslims who are fasting today. I wish them all the very best. I have some few Muslim friends, Nafisa Dankpa Muftau. They said they have ulcer. The ulcer just started today so that they won't fast. That is cheating. I will tell them. And then to all the Christians and the Catholics, we start Ash Wednesday today. We start Lent today. As we said, to Ash we came, Ash we shall return. I wish all of us a happy Lent.
All right, and then Fifi Boafo is here. He's a legal practitioner, but also for the subject matter, also brought from the communication wing of the MPP as well, has worked in the office of the Chief Executive for Cocoa Board. That will be Joseph Wahinedu, and served as Corporate Affairs or Public Affairs boss for Cocoa Board as well. Fifi Boafo, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. You didn't add to the fact that I used to do what you're doing.
Yes. He's also a journalist, yes. And then, of course, I have Edem Akbana, Member of Parliament for Ketu North. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Roland.
And all to you as well, Solomon, the chairman for the Common Sense family of the Republic of Ghana. He's Director for Communication for the United Party, Solomon. Today you're dressed in suit. This is the second time I'm seeing you in suit. It doesn't happen often. You have a court case.
Something like that.
Is it the way you talk, that's why you've been sued, or?
No.
It's not defamation.
If you see it, maybe I don't even have a pen to come and take, so don't even worry yourself.
All right, we'll see how that goes. But let's take an insert, and this one is from the president, and then we'll come to Edem, because at the end of the day, the policy direction as to what they do with the cocoa farmers, the monies they have to be paid, and then also the agitation, because the minority in itself says that you have to reverse at least to the status quo, not even reducing.
Annually by the Ghana Cocoa Board.
We collateralize the beans and they give us money to buy the cocoa and export. So because of that, we cannot even allocate enough of the beans to our local processors. And that's why government took the decision that we should change the funding cycle of cocoa by raising the money locally in CDs, paying the farmers, and then allocating a certain portion of the cocoa beans to our processing capacity so that we can create jobs within our funding system and also stabilize the price of the cocoa that we produce. I planted cocoa on the 50 acres, so I'm a cocoa farmer. And so when the price was reduced by government, it affects me too. I want to be able to empathize with farmers so that when we take any policy decision, we know that it has an effect on farmers and we feel it ourselves. If the price If there's no fertilizer, the price of fertilizer is expensive. I feel it myself because
That's the President John Dramani Mahama. And this is a policy shift.
Well, and good morning to you and to my brothers on the panel, and also a special good morning to all our cherished viewers across the world, especially to the good people of Ketu North, and to once again thank them for the incredible support that I enjoy from them as their servant and as their representative in Parliament. Roland, before I answer your questions, I think that we need to establish some ground rules. You are in charge of the program, but we have on the panel today my brother Fifi Boafo and also Dr. Zato. Both of them are members of the NPP's communication wing. We are happy to welcome the NPP back on your platforms, but what we will not take is that in your decision to welcome back your former abusive partner, the party that said they were never going to come back, they were throwing your microphones away at press conferences, we will not allow you to, in your attempt to please them, try and give them an advantage over us. So we have 2 MPP reps on your platform. What it means is that if you give them 10 minutes each, you must give me 20 minutes. Because
and give me how many
well, so you can also fight for yours.
Yes.
But
So
if you give them, if you give the NPP 20 minutes by giving each of them 10 minutes,
Each panelist is entitled to a number of minutes.
No, but they are representing the same political party, and so if you give the 2 of them 10 minutes each, you must give me double of that.
Why is this
and I will not compromise on that.
Why is this a problem?
It is a problem because, I mean, I am not, you can bring 10, you can bring 20 NPP members. That is not a problem. But the problem here is that both of them are members of the NPP's communication team.
Don't feel
Dr. Zato is a well-known member of the NPP. He is a member of the communications team. He was a parliamentary aspirant in Sisala West. Sisala East. As we speak, he is actively campaigning to go back as a parliamentary candidate on the ticket of the NPP. My brother Fifi Boafo is same. He's a very good friend of mine. He contested to be a parliamentary candidate. I think he was.
I have never. I have never contested.
Oh well, but
he hasn't contested.
But you were a member of the NPP communications team. So you are a member of the
But
NPP
then why is this a
communications team.
problem? Because
It is a problem because it is important for you to be fair to the 2 parties or to all parties. So why are you not Sisala East?
I am not a member of the NPP communications team. That's a lie.
But you are a member of the NPP.
I am not a member of the NPP communications team.
But you are a member of the
That's a
NPP.
lie.
Well,
That's a lie. I'm not a member of the NPP communications team. That's a lie.
Roland, let's assume that is a lie. The point is that both of them are members of the NPP. So if you give them 10 minutes each, you must give me 20 minutes. And I will not compromise on that. We need to establish that before we move on.
Roland, I wish to say something.
Okay.
30 seconds. I find it not right. The kind of instructions Edem sought to give you as the host of the program. And I'm saying this as a journalist and someone who has done this job. You are in charge of this show. You determine the rules of this show. So for a panelist to come on the show and say that we will not allow you to do that, really? What capacity do you have?
It's my time. Can I come in?
To now determine the rules
Okay, so let him make
for the host and the station.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have concerns, it is for you to raise the concerns, but it is not for you to detect what should happen. You do not own the station, you do not own the program, you are panelists like all of us, and it is for you to express concern, which is legitimate, but you don't determine the rules, and I think that you must respect the change.
So Roland, with all due respect, I have also done media before. And as a panelist, I consider myself a key stakeholder in the success of the program. What I am demanding is only fairness, and I am demanding
and then you've made
fairness. Yes, so I think that point must be made. And it is a point that it is not in any way trying to take control of the program away from you. But I'm saying that if the NDC is here,
respect the host.
and I'm representing the NDC,
Adam, can we move
it means
on?
that, but we need to establish that point, and it must be made, that if you give them 20 minutes for the 2 of them, I am also entitled to the same 20 minutes because you are giving the party's representation. I'm not here because I am Edem Agbana. They are not here because they are individuals in their own right. We are here because my party sent me to represent them. And so if you give the MPP 20 minutes, you must give the NDC 20 minutes on your program.
Just for point of clarity,
yes,
each individual is entitled to a time. It's not particularly apportioned.
No, but we are then it means you are not being fair to the NDC. Why? Is it because after they abuse you, threw your microphones away, they are back, you want to show them so much love and give them undue advantage? So are you encouraging? Are you encouraging that other parties should also treat you this way? No, we are entitled to equal measure.
I understand the reservations you have, but you've well established that.
Exactly.
And I'm saying that each member of the panel is entitled to equal time.
And I am saying that if you do that, you are not being fair. You are not being fair to the party I represent.
I understand. What your reservations are.
Because the point is that, Roland, you know.
Can you move ahead?
Yeah, so Roland, you know, and I think the viewers deserve to know that Edem Agbana does not elect himself to be on New Day every Wednesday morning. Yeah. I am sent here by my political party. I am sent here as a member of the NDC. So if I come and I realize that you are not being fair to my party, I have every right to raise this issue and demand that if you give the MPP reps 20 minutes, give me 20 minutes. Right. So, Roland, no, you need to respond that you are giving me the 20 minutes or the equal time. No, then you are not. Then you are not being fair to my political party. What it means is that tomorrow, maybe Thursday or Friday, you should also be able to bring 2 NDC reps against 1 MPP rep, because we are.
I understand the reservations you have, but I'm stating.
I disagree with you that you will not give me the point, because if I have to rebut, I have to rebut both of them.
You're not going to get a combined time of 50
I must get. We can come to. We can negotiate a compromise position and do 15 minutes. Yes, I mean, I'm only demanding fairness.
But you're not getting 20 minutes or a combined time of both.
Roland, the issues around cocoa board and cocoa production and how we have handled this whole issue of purchasing of cocoa from our hard-working cocoa farmers who have significantly contributed to the economy of this country in many ways is one that demands national focused discussion, a solution-driven conversation. And I am happy that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has taken the lead in telling us the future of Ghana in relation to how cocoa beans will be purchased, whether they will be processed here or they will just be purchased and sold out there to the international market. So, Roland, President Mahama and the leadership of Cocoa Board, leadership of CMC must be commended. Roland, before we even answer the policy issue of the direction of Cocoa Board, it is important for us to give a certain history as to why we are where we are today and why there is this conversation and why we are even having this conversation. To do that, there are a number of things that our friends in the NPP have put out that we need to set the record straight.
Which are those things?
Number one, they create the impression, and even yesterday in Parliament, the impression was created that 1 million cocoa farmers are suffering or will be affected by the decision of the government to reduce prices for the remainder of the season. And that figure cannot be accurate. Roland, for this season, Cocoa Board projected to buy about 650,000 tons of cocoa. Out of that 650,000, over 581,000 tons have already been bought. There was an issue with the issue of the remaining ones, which will be affected by the current price, by the new price that was announced last week, only affects just about 10% of their projection. People have made the argument that if it is indeed only 10%, why couldn't government, in an attempt to protect the farmer and give the farmer the real value, as in the price that we announced to them earlier, why couldn't government just take it up and decide to buy it at the old price because it's only 10%? Now, when you do that, it will be a terrible economic decision, because what would then happen is that because our neighboring countries were now buying cocoa at a cheaper price instead of dealing with that 10%, which is actually less than 80,000 tons. What you'll be dealing with will be an issue of smuggling from those other countries into Ghana, so reverse smuggling. Because in the past, Cocoa Board has faced the issue of smuggling, such that Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, and neighboring countries became destination for most of our cocoa beans that were produced. Indeed, in 2024-2025 season, the Volta region and Oti region contributed only 97 tons to the national figure in terms of the cocoa that they sold to Cocoa Board. Only 97 tons. But because for the 2025-2026 season, the prices that Cocoa Board announced, and for which about 90% of the beans were purchased, was way higher than that of our neighboring countries, you had a situation where Volta and Oti regions now contributed about 2,500 tons. Why that leap in just a year, in just a season? Because the farmers got a price that was better than, so there was a disincentive. There was no incentive to now smuggle their cocoa beans into neighboring countries. So when, for the sake of that 10%, you decide to still pay a price that was unprofitable, that was unrealistic, what you do is that there are about 1 million tons that we are told is in Cote d'Ivoire and other countries around us that they are not buying. And yesterday I was watching a report by some international media about the same problem. What will happen is that farmers around us will now be smuggling those cocoa beans into this country at the cost of the government of Ghana. And so government must engage in some innovative thinking, and that is what simply we have done. And so let it be on record that it's what we are doing, it only affects about 10% of the projected
smuggling has been taking
beans.
place
Not
because the farmers
Yes.
found it as a price incentive. If the price was better in the neighboring countries to send those products there.
Exactly.
And that's the mere reason why.
Exactly.
So today,
yes.
if they don't find the price in Cote d'Ivoire a big incentive, then they will be discouraged from sending their beans there.
That's precisely the point.
Okay.
And so the point I am making is that because the price that government announced earlier, for which they used in purchasing 90% of the cocoa beans, was so competitive, our farmers did not engage in smuggling. And that is why I'm giving you examples of Volta and Oti regions where cocoa produced and purchased by Cocoa Board in 2024-2025 season was 97 tons. But today, they are contributing well over 2,500 tons. It means they find the price competitive. Now, where we are today, we cannot continue to rely on the syndicated loan model in purchasing our cocoa beans.
Why?
Because clearly that system failed under the NPP. And I'm happy Fifi is here. In 2023-2024 season, the NPP government, Cocoa Board under the NPP government, took syndicated loans with the mind of supplying 800,000 tons of cocoa beans. 800,000 tons. They could not supply, or they fell short of their supply by over 333,000 tons. Because of that, these international financial institutions that gave us the syndicated loan lost confidence in us, and we could not have access to the syndicated loan any longer. What that meant was that we needed to come and devise. Yes, we needed to come and devise a strategy where we could purchase the cocoa from the farmers, sell it before. So there was this arrangement for 60-40. But that model has not worked for Ghana in many years, and that model cannot work. So what do we do? The excellent leadership of Dr. Randy Abe and his team, they decided that we have inherited mess. And if we have the time, we will go into the mess that the NPP government left at Cocoa Board. And I'm happy he's here. I will give him the facts. And he will speak to them.
But he was there. I think you were there as well.
Yes, he was there. He was in the office. And the mess. And we have all the facts, the mess that they left behind. Dr. Randy Abe decided that I'm not going to be complaining about the challenges I've inherited. Indeed,
I have seen some NDC members go hard at Dr. Randy Abe, saying that when his colleagues were busy telling the public the challenges or the mess that they inherited, he was quiet, busy working. Because you see, what leaders do is not necessarily to complain about a challenge, but how you resolve it. So today, we have decided that as a forward-thinking government, as a visionary government, let's invest more in processing our cocoa beans. As I speak, Roland, we have the capacity of about 54,322 metric tons idle processing capacity by both WAMCO and the CPC. And when you look at these two institutions, government has 85% stake in CPC and about 40% stake in WAMCO. But because you are doing forward sales where you go and take a syndicated loan against the cocoa that you'll be producing in the next season, you do not have the space to supply them with the raw materials for them to process so that you can go into the international market with an added value to your cocoa produce before you can sell. So this is what President Mahama, Cocoa Board, CPC, CMC, we have decided to solve. That we will not allow this old model that hasn't worked for us to continue. What we want to do is to invest in processing. And I am happy that government has taken the lead in that. Roland, it will get to a point where much or most of the cocoa beans that will be produced in Ghana will be processed here. We add value. And when you do that, we estimate that government of Ghana will generate at least 150 to 300% more or higher revenue because of the addition of value by processing our cocoa beans into powder, into liquor and others, and could be sold to chocolate factories. So, Roland, we met a problem, we met a mess. The records are there. What we are doing is how to resolve it and leave a legacy such that cocoa farmers, hard-working cocoa farmers, will get true value for their hard work and their sacrifices for this country.
Fifi, what do you make of this narrative?
Well, this narrative is one that is it's coming from someone who is not well briefed. Wow. And that's, yes, he's not well briefed. And I admit that he has not worked in the institution or the industry, and then his commentary will be based on the briefing he has received. Fantastic guy, he's my friend. But then he's speaking based on the briefing he has received. He talked about the fact that, well, it is left with about 70,000 metric tons, and that is not significant. So if the farmers are to lose that, it is not a big deal. Let me tell you that it's a real big deal. They say it's 70,000. 70,000 metric tons. A ton constitutes 16 bags of cocoa. Bear in mind, every bag of cocoa, the farmer is losing up more than 1,000 Ghana cedis. So if you do the calculation, the farmers will be losing about 120 million. That's how much, about 1.1 billion. That's how much farmers will be losing.
Ghana cedis?
Yeah, Ghana cedis. If we are to say that we are reducing the farmer income by reducing about 1,000 Ghana cedis, and we are buying 70,000 metric tons extra, and is Edem telling us that farmers losing about 1.1 billion is not significant and it will not affect the cocoa farmer. I even believe that it goes beyond the figures they are quoting because over a period, the license buying companies have not been buying. And the farmers, some of them have even refused to even harvest the cocoa because the cocoa they've supplied since November to date has not been paid for. So there's no energy or the enthusiasm on the part of the cocoa farmers to even go and harvest this cocoa they have on the trees. So if you say that farmers losing 1.1 billion is not significant, I beg to differ. I think that it is a matter of importance. I love the idea that he wants us to get into the conversation about what we seek to do going forward and not to continue talking about the problems the industry has suffered over the years. Except to say that the suggestion by the president in terms of the processing is one that does not address the issue. It does not address the issue because the president said we are to process up to 50% of our cocoa locally. Our cocoa, at the time the MPP took over, we're already processing about 23%. So it's not a case that we do not process our cocoa locally. We're already doing about 23%. At the time the MPP was leaving government, we were processing about 42% of our cocoa locally. So if the president say that we are to go up to 50%, granted we even get to 50%, it's just by increasing it by 8%, how significant would that be? And how would that impact on the industry? That is why I say that it does not address the problem. The processing the president is talking about, what type of processing is he referring to? Is it primary processing? Is it secondary or tertiary? Already what we are doing is largely primary. Of course, it has some value, but comparatively, the chunk of the resources within the industry is in those who are doing tertiary processing. And in order for you to do tertiary processing, there are certain things you must do as a country before you can take advantage of the market. So, for example, if you export raw beans to the European market, there are some taxes you do not pay. But the moment you get to tertiary, you have to go pay some substantial taxes. Why that? Because most of the chocolate companies are already in Europe. They have set up factories. The consumption in those countries is huge. So if you want to now produce the chocolates here and export it to their market, which would therefore mean that their companies will not be processing. It will affect jobs in those markets. It therefore means that they must, as a country, also put in place measures that would not make it will not incentivize you to do that locally. So the president, if genuinely he feels that is the way to go, it is not just to come and announce to us that, well, we'll take it to about 50% and it solve the problem.
But don't you think that a policy intention is supposed to start with the announcement based on maybe backroom discussions that are, because we have key policy directives like WTO rules and then also in-country industry rules that they also undertake to hedge, like you did in States.
So if you are to roll out a policy that will make a significant change, there must be clarity. There must be information, at least for people who understand the industry and other industry stakeholders to engage in some conversation around it, at least to add up to it, and then also where probably other stakeholders feel that, well, this may not be beneficial to us as a country, also point it out, because after all, it is at the drafting stage. I know the policy the president was referring to, it did not just come up overnight. It was under the MPP administration, we took a facility from the African Development Bank. Part of that facility was to use to amend the Cocoa Board law, and that process has started and they have continued. And
which one? Adding value?
No, so the entire Cocoa Board law, which was enacted in 1984, the feeling is that, well, there must be some changes, and then the law is being amended. So all these things you are talking about are things that form part of the new Cocoa Board law and the policy going forward, and that is what we are looking at. So it's not something new. At least I have fair knowledge of what is in this policy document we are looking at. There are other things, probably at the right time, we can have a conversation around it. But I'm only making the point that a president only says that we are only going to do up to 50%. At the time, we're already at 42%. Then, how significant is that? Another important point we need...
But if it's increased, it will be okay?
Well, I think that 50% is not significant. And it is not even just doing 50% of primary processing, because the value you will find there is not that significant.
It's good that you've been at Cocoa Board, but would you say that for an industry that has a capitalization of in excess of 100 billion, a producer country, actually the second of the two top producers, having a shift in paradigm of how they want the end product, the raw material, to be exported in that order is a good policy?
You see, we are very passionate when it comes to how much we get as a country from cocoa revenue. But there are other things probably we also lose sight of. So, for example, if you take a bar of chocolate, the cocoa component sometimes is about 14%, and sometimes less. So the 100 billion we talk about is not only coming from the cocoa. You have milk, you have sugar, you have other ingredients you find in the chocolate. So the fact that you produce the cocoa does not mean that you are entitled to the full amount. Of course, if it is 14% and we are getting about 3%, that is not good enough. And we must get more than that. The 100 billion you talk about, there are things like advertising, there are retail, and all that. The retail, what is the market size for Ghana? Are we able to take advantage of that? So, for example, per capita consumption in Ghana was 0.5 kilograms as of 2017. I remember with some work done, we've been able to increase it. We've been able to increase it by 100%. Increasing anything by 100% is significant, but the question is, how significant is it if you are doing just 1 kilogram per person, per capita? It is not significant, and we do not have the taste for chocolate products, and that is the very reason we must work on at least driving consumption locally. Then we can have a conversation about processing. The processing bit Adam did not talk about is also the fact that apart from CPC, which Cocoa Board is a majority shareholder, and WAMCO, we are a minority shareholder, all other companies are not companies that belong to the state. You have these multinationals owning these companies.
Like Barry Callebaut.
Barry, Olam, Cargill, and Co. These are multinationals. They have their companies set up elsewhere. All that they are supposed to do here is to process it to make butter and cake and export it to the international companies for them to work on it. So if you say that, well, we are going to process it here, how is that going to benefit that? But most importantly, this whole conversation came up as a result of Cocoa Board's inability to pay the cocoa farmers for almost 4 months. And as a smart way of government trying to dilute the conversation, they brought up all manner of things so that at least we do not focus on why have you not paid the farmer, why are you not paying the cocoa farmer, or why have you even reduced the farmer's cost. So since we came here, we are talking about other things. Of course, that policy has been there. It has not become a matter for us to discuss. But the moment the farmer's payment became an issue, now we brought up that conversation and then we are diluting it. What we are discussing, Roland, is the fact that cocoa farmers who rely largely on the income from their cocoa farm, after producing the cocoa beans, going through all the dangerous moments in producing the cocoa, it has taken them almost 4 months. They've not been paid. Why have they not been paid? They have not been paid because Cocoa Board now says that if I sell the cocoa you've given me, I'm going to lose. So I am not going to sell the cocoa. And that is the problem. They talk about the fact that, well, that we inherited problems, there were these issues. This has nothing to do with the problems you inherited. Because what you need to note is the fact that the problems they claim they inherited, we can discuss that. But last year, were the problems not present? Did they not pay cocoa farmers last year? Did they reduce how much they were paying the cocoa farmer last year? No, that did not happen. It therefore means that something has changed this time round. And that is why the cocoa farmers are not getting paid. And that is why the cocoa farmers have not been paid for about 4 months. And even their income has been reduced. Now, Cocoa Board says, don't worry. We have reduced the chief executive salary by 20%. So you should be fine. But the farmer's salary has been reduced, or the farmer's income has been reduced to about almost 30%. And the chief executive says he has reduced the salary by 20%. So farmers should just keep quiet and be happy because, after all, I've done you a favor. It does not solve the problem. If they had done the right thing by selling when the market price was high, we would not be here, and the problem will not now come for us to discuss, and we'd rather dilute the conversation by talking about other things.
So Fifi says that this one was late in coming. It's an afterthought, post facto, trying to say that we want to put value. What do you say?
Thank you very much. Putting value is always good. But I want to start by
clarifying some misinformations and some innuendos that are made here.
Information.
Misinformation.
Misinformation and innuendos.
No, and outright lies.
And outright misinformation.
Innuendos and outright lies. And outright lies.
And outright lies.
Paddle against my very good person. I was not brought here this morning by the New Patriotic Party.
Who brought you here?
You. TV3.
Okay.
And I expected at least you would have told Adam that. I expected you would have told him that you, TV3,
Who brought you here?
brought me here.
Me, TV3 invited me here.
Okay. Who brought you here?
My party sent me here.
Okay. And who brought you here?
You brought.
So we brought everybody here.
Exactly.
I mean,
No, but what I mean is that you didn't, so as you said, no, you didn't bring me his party brought
you're saying that you didn't come under the auspices of the
Yes,
party.
they didn't bring me here. So I thought you should have said that so that we will know. Because if you, I cannot, and secondly, as I've said, I am not a member of the MPP communications team. I cannot go and steal somebody's job. I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, that's true. I'm not a senior lecturer at Queen University. I cannot go and steal somebody's job. If I do that, I'm stealing, and that's not fair. So those things are very important that we should put them that and get it done. Good. This morning, I want us to look at a bigger
But you say you
picture.
contested Sisala and you're a member of the party.
I want us
so
to look
once
at,
Fifi is,
I want
that's
us to
what he
look
says.
at a bigger picture of SOE governance in Ghana, state-owned enterprise governance in Ghana. Because you see,
You are not commenting on that. Okay,
if
you
we
go
just focus on Cocoa Board, we will miss something. And that is that how over the years, SOEs in Ghana have been governed, have been managed and mismanaged. That is the bane of the problem we are sitting on right now. There's a reason why whenever a government comes in, there's a jostling for people to get jobs with these SOEs. SOEs were originally established by the colonial government and by the early government of Kwame Nkrumah to serve two primary purposes: a political nation-building purpose and commercial purposes. The idea was that, especially at early independence, because we do not have any vibrant private sector, we should use the state to achieve what later became a champion referred to as the commanding heights of the state. Kwame Nkrumah saw state-owned enterprises as vital to his state-led socialism and development. Over the years, we've come to abuse them very much because of two main reasons. State-owned enterprises have become a political football. And whenever you are the leader of a state-owned enterprise, you realize that no matter what you do, there's a government and a political party to support you and to cheer you on. There's a government and a political party to clap for you even when you are going wrong. In the private sector, if you do wrong, shareholders and also management may vote you out, may remove you. But in the political sector, precisely because the appointing authority thinks that if you are removed and you are not there, it looks like a slight to the judgment of the appointing authority, either the president or the minister, you are protected. And that is why we keep seeing them. That's why we keep seeing that state-owned enterprises accumulate huge debts, they misbehave, they misperform, and they engage in all forms of maladministrations, but people go to their defense. And you can see that over the last two, maybe look at it. The first was when Gold Board made the laws. We saw that there was a huge political party, and we came in to defend them. And there was another huge political party out there going after Gold Board for what they did. Today, we are seeing a similar thing here. Here is a CEO who has dropped the ball. He is a CEO who has demonstrated by everything that he's in to the neck. He is a CEO who has demonstrated that he doesn't have the competences what it takes to manage this. But all we are seeing is that the chorus of praises and everything coming up. It goes to tell us, if you are a CEO of a state-owned enterprise sitting somewhere today, how does this deter you? And you look at what is happening at Cocoa Board now. How does it deter you? Are you afraid that if you do a similar thing, your job will be at risk? Are you afraid that if you don't perform very well, you're not by risk? So precisely because it kind of gives a free will to everybody and all those in the state-owned enterprise to do, because they seem not to be anybody being held accountable for the actions that actually be taken. Mr. Boafo made a point. You inherited problems. Yes, government, when you come to government, you inherit liabilities and you also inherit assets. We agree with that. Everybody will tell you, the previous government will tell you that when they also came in 2016, they inherited problems. But in 2015, you do not cut down prices of cocoa. Why? Despite all those problems. What did you do in 2050, in 2025 that made you keep your promise to the people? And why didn't you do the same thing to keep your word to the people? You see, when we do these things, when you promise cocoa farmers, it's a secret pledge for the government. And then when you feel like this, whether it's 1 million people affected, 2 million people, everything else, it goes to erode what is called trust in government. So when you ask why is it that citizens don't trust governments and citizens don't trust politicians, it's because they have seen a lot of this over the years. Government saying one thing and doing the other thing. When you erode trust in government so much, then it becomes difficult for people to believe you when it is hard times, for people to believe you when they're supposed to do the right things. And that's what I'm saying, that we need. Governments need to be able to make sure that in order to get trust in citizens, you must behave very well. Two, there's something else happening. We shouldn't also look at the Cocoa Board case in isolation. And we shouldn't look at cocoa farmers in isolation. I made this last week.
Every farmer in this country seems to be suffering and going through a problem. On my way here, I had rice farmers in the Volta region. Paddy rice packed in the canoe. I've already talked again, and I'll talk again about maize farmers in Sisala East, maize farmers in Tumu, in Wallenja, in Kong, and in Nangwandron, all places. We've talked about rice farmers in Upper East. We've talked about poultry farmers here. There is a reason. There's something that is happening. There's a mismatch somewhere. That as economic indicators are doing better, inflation is coming down, interest rates is coming down, fuel prices are down, everything seems to be coming down. Farmers seems to be suffering. Something is missing in that formula. And I think that it's important that policymakers sit down and say, what are we getting wrong? How come as the country is doing better and the microeconomics are getting better, farmers are getting poorer? How come as the microeconomic indicators and analytics are getting better, farmers are going toward bankruptcy? How come as all this and there's food glut in the place, the food what's the name? People, the number of percentage of people without food insecurity is rising. Unless and until we are able to get a handle of this, it's going to reduce investment in the farmers, among farmers. And we've already seen it. Because if you're a cocoa farmer, you're taking this hit, about $1 billion taken out of the sector, it tells you that next year, some of them may not invest as much as they are doing. If you're a rice farmer in Volta region, I'm sure there are some of them in your constituency, hear them, right? Are there rice farmers there? If they're taking a big hit, it means that they may not be able to invest to increase production. If there are maize farmers in Sisala East now, already most of them are going hungry, most of them are going bankrupt, they cannot recoup their investment, they may reduce yields. So it means that going forward, we face a bigger problem. I won't be surprised to see that percentage of people without food security rising. Government needs to sit down and look at a broader policy, both about farm gate and about how to protect our farmers. There's no country in the world where, even the richest of countries, where you just leave farmers like that to the vagaries of the market. There's no country like that. Every country comes out with creative policies to what? At least guarantee and protect the minimum farm gate prices and take the welfare of the... We have thrown our farmers to the wolves. We've thrown our farmers to the...
Because that's the wrapper for me.
And it's not happening. So please, whatever we do, I want to appeal to the president and the government, help us to make sure that our farmers' welfare are taken care of and that at least the farm gate prices promise, they get it. Thank you.
Solo, matters have come to a head. He's complaining the chief executive is not right up to the tax. And then Fifi says that briefing is inadequate, the facts are not right, and the policy is haywire, so to speak. Bayadem says that putting value, the new short to medium-term policy direction is the way to go.
Roland, it's very beautiful. I now understand why Cocoa Board has a problem and that we need a monumental shift.
Why?
Because listening to Zato, listening to my brother Fifi, I believe Fifi Boafo and his management have to be barred from speaking on the Cocoa Board matter.
They have to be barred? He worked under Joseph Eido. I've had interaction with Fifi at the time. I think
they must be barred.
Why?
Very simple.
You mean hypothetically?
Hypothetically.
Okay.
Very simple. You see, it remains a fact which has not been denied by their administration that when they took over Cocoa Board had a positive equity of 1.8 billion. Now, in simple terms, if government decided in 2017 to sell all the assets of Cocoa Board as against its liability, Ghana would have made 1.8 billion. Are you getting the drift? Fast forward to 2024, 2025, when they left power, they left a negative equity of almost 4 billion.
What's your point with that?
What it meant is that, or what it means is that, if you were to sell Cocoa Board in 2025, Ghana will have to go and look for a loan of 4 billion to pay back. So they have come to mismanage the sector and now professing solutions for today. I don't get it. That you that went there and mismanage the sector wants to profess solutions for us, it's not going to happen.
Why not? It says their numbers were better.
Which better? Which better numbers? Which legacies? The place was a total mess.
Really?
Messy situation. But you see, we cannot fast forward these discussions until this administration begins to be serious.
And they should be serious about what?
They must be serious as governors of the country, going after those that messed up the situation. You see, there are a lot of institutions they think we have forgotten. Remember when the energy minister, John Jinapo, took over, he told us ECG was in a mess, which we knew. Afenyo case confirmed that indeed cables were being stolen there. All of a sudden, we made noise. They have gone to sleep. Everybody has gone away or gotten away with the booty. They think it's normal.
ECG.
ECG. We went to NLA, the lottery, another mess. We spoke of it. Hey, small. They went to sleep because the Ghanaian is no more talking about it, so they have gotten away with it. You go to the scholarship secretariat and nothing is happening. People think that it's normal. Now people are beginning to take this country for a ransom. They see the country as being their property, and they have forced you and I and our offspring to believe that poverty is part of our lives.
So what's that got to do
What
with
I'm
cocoa?
saying is that
What's that got to do with cocoa?
Cocoa board that is supposed to be generating income and contributing immensely to the consolidated fund is now becoming a white elephant. Just go and buy cocoa beans and go and sell, it is bringing debt.
You need money. And then you have to make considerations for the world
Look,
price.
the solutions that were proffered by this administration, they lifted it from our great transformation plan. I have shown it one time. It's here. These are the solutions.
Abolish existing external loan syndication, okay? Deepen private sector participation in cocoa. Conduct a comprehensive review of the cocoa sector. Consolidate the balance sheets. And then you say they should add value as well.
And the value, you understand. And as well as taking out political appointments at Cocoa Board. You see, when you go into several international meetings and you are meeting your partners, they come with their best shots. People that understand industries. It is only in Ghana that we vote for a political party, and all of a sudden, state-owned enterprises have to be changed and political appointees have to be fused in there.
But that's what we've always done.
And that is bad. That is why we have a negative equity position there. Look, when Cocoa Board was established, its primary objective was to be processing the beans here. And here I disagree with you once again. That if we are...
That's not correct.
What is not correct about it?
No. So
And Fifi, listen, we will not allow Fifi...
Have you guys met on
No, we have
another platform
no,
before?
Fifi is a friend. Let me tell you. I will not sit here.
I'm taking notes. I'll respond to it.
Exactly, but
I'm only drawing his attention.
No, but what I will not...
It says
Listen.
the
Let's set
objective for which-
let's set some ground rules. What I will not take is that Fifi will make himself cocoa expert on this table. He's not an expert in cocoa matters.
Okay, let's not go into people's integrity.
No.
He hasn't questioned your integrity.
No.
so that's okay.
If I am saying something he says it's not correct, then it means he's coming from a point of an expert position. And I'm saying
he's
he's
not an expert. Okay, point.
He's
But
not.
he's worked there before.
It doesn't matter. He's not. He was a public affairs director. When he's giving information, he comes to tell us. He's not an expert. He's not an expert in research. He's not an expert in anything.
let's not
What
go
I'm
into
saying
it.
is that, you understand, if you begin, Cocoa Board, if you read the law, PNDC law 81, that establishes Cocoa Board, as a key objective is to, first of all, produce the cocoa and process it. Because if that was not the objective, then why did we even establish the Cocoa Board in the first place? We were being shortchanged by Cargill and the USC in the 30s. For which reason, by 1947, we decided to form Cocoa Board to deal with that matter, so that we can process it to disable these foreigners from taking advantage of us. If you go to a country like Brazil, is Brazil not a leading cocoa producer? They are among the top 7. Guess what? Brazil processes 93% of its beans to do other things. So what makes anybody think that it's a difficult thing? In any case, if you are starting the processing or value addition from 50, it means, and adding on every year at least 8%, by the time they are done, they would have got it to about 66% of processing, which is a good thing. Because what is happening is that on the international market, it's not as though all of a sudden prices drop. It is engineered. Those that are buying our cocoa, they have serious researchers. At any given time, they know the levels of production that will be coming out of Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. It's demand and supply situation. If I know that, look, these people are producing, all that I need to do is to stop buying. Then demand would exceed, supply would exceed demand, and therefore you reduce prices. So the value addition that has been proposed by this administration is a good thing. The second thing is the syndicated loans. It must never have crossed our minds in the first place. That we buy cocoa with cedis, yet we go for $1 every year because of top. We go and take dollar loan to come and buy cedi-denominated product.
Well, first, we don't have the money, so that's why
Which
we're
money?
going out.
We started doing this syndication in the 90s. Before 90s, how were we buying our cocoa? How were we buying our cocoa? Lazy attitude, it pushed it there. So before we even harvest our cocoa, we have sold about 70% of the cocoa. Whether or not the prices will go up or down, we have sold it. And if you do that, what quantity or percentage is going to be left for you to give to your local industries? That is what was hurting the market. Again, when we did regulation in the petroleum sector, you should have followed it with the cocoa sector. Because these are all international products. You can't give what you don't have. If the commodity is being sold on the international market at 3,000, why would you give 4,000? So that the solutions that I've heard from our brothers is that, look, they must go and borrow to restore prices. Is that how you manage?
Yeah, because the minority, I believe it's
And that is how come
they said that
you should go and borrow to come and stabilize prices. That is how come you have that negative equity there.
Well, they said the objective, you protect farmers.
Protect who? The farmer needs roads. The farmer needs hospitals. The farmer needs schools. These monies that we would go and borrow to come and shore them up would lead to we deny them the very infrastructure that they are looking for. So you put in place a pricing mechanism, which is also one of the suggestions that they have proposed, which I believe that they must carry it through. It's a very good thing.
Okay.
You understand? Now, the pricing today. Today they are paying, what, 2,587. You see, sometimes we would not, and that is why the UP is there. UP wants to take away this politics of Jandam.
Well, what is Jandam
If it is,
about this?
if it is
What
black,
is
and black,
Jandam
if
about
black,
this
black.
narrative?
We will win election.
They said it was at a certain price. You reduce it to
in
a certain
2023. In 2023, this one I checked the international world market price of cocoa. It is now around $3,700 dollars per ton. If you work the mathematics, you are supposed to give the farmer, if you are doing 70%, around 2,600 or so. You understand, which is around the same figure that these people are giving. In 2023, cocoa board at the same rate, how much were they paying? At the same price of $3,700, how much were they paying? They were paying 1,308 cedis per bag.
2,000 what?
2003, like 2023. So if yesterday you saw the need that at price of $3,700, you'll be paying a bag of cocoa at 1,308, and today is the same price, and someone is paying 2,587, then you must rather be seeing something positive. But
Are you saying this price is better than the old one?
Of course. Which one?
In terms of purchasing power and things
No,
like
I'm only comparing 2 years with a similar. In fact, during their time, 3,700, the cedi to the dollar was around 11.5. And it's hovering around the same. Today is around 11. So we are doing almost the same calculations. But what I'm saying is that under no circumstance must government go and borrow to come and pay for farmers when prices on the international market drops. It weakens the economy. It destroys the economy.
Really?
Absolutely.
Not protect farmers?
Farmer? You protect farmer?
For a key commodity like cocoa?
No, it's not a key commodity. How many, like they were saying, how many people take cocoa in this country? We are only serving the international market. We will eat banku fufu. Why are we not talking about
the revenue? So you protect the producers, of the commodity that give you that revenue.
In its entirety, cocoa does not give us on the annual basis more than $2 billion. Are you aware of that?
But it's an excess. You take also a look at the value chain, etc.
No, but we don't capitalize on the value chain. We only sell the raw beans. So we only make $2 billion from cocoa every year. If you combine the other food crops and stuff, we are doing way better. Okay. So what I'm saying is that the solutions that have been preferred, what we must make sure happens is that they actually do the implementation. Because what is going to happen is that with the announcement of these solutions, those that are buying our raw beans will begin to think twice, they will stabilize the market, and then we go and sleep. Once you go and sleep, then the matter comes back 2 years later. We must insist that the products will be processed this time around. We must insist that there will be a pricing formula this time around. We must insist that politicians will not be, we will not be sending politicians to our best institutions to just go and mess it up. We must insist that Cocoa Board, there is private participation in the running of Cocoa Board. This is the only way, as a country, we can make headway.
Point made. There's a substantive issue, and I saw a Reuters news feature that also gave an indication that the market in Cote d'Ivoire is not doing any better, and the farmers are even now, if you take a look at that story, now taking their cocoa bags and not selling even to the intermediaries and taking it back to their warehouses. So the subject matter about top producer, second top producer, and we need to take a look at that as well. How do we do that within
Roland.
this sort of conversation?
Yeah, so Roland, just before that, allow me just a minute or two to deal with a number of issues that my colleagues on the panel have raised. Fifi began by creating the impression that, in fact, there's something wrong with getting briefing on any subject matter.
how
I mean,
did I
no.
say that? I
That's
didn't say that.
that's the impression you gave. You created said I wasn't briefed. I haven't
only
worked in
said
the
that
office. No, Fifi, when you were speaking, when you were speaking, so now you are saying that the information I have.
I take the greatest exception to the comments that just be made by my brother.
What did he say?
That MPP are free money. I mean, why? How can you say that?
Have you not left the MP?
So let me finish.
No, but are we discussing?
Okay,
Let me
okay,
finish.
gentlemen,
I want
please.
to use my time.
Please,
So Roland,
Please, gentlemen.
Roland, indeed, there is nothing wrong
Very.
in getting briefing on a matter that is critical to Ghana's economy. As a member of parliament, there is nothing wrong. Why? Yesterday we discussed cocoa in parliament. The Honorable Apenyo Markin, who read the first statement on happiness in cocoa, is he a cocoa farmer? Has he worked at Cocoa Board? But he led the discussions. Because these are critical issues, and so there is nothing wrong in even getting briefing. But again, Fifi created the impression that I stated that the 1.1 billion that will be lost, or the 10% is insignificant. I never said that. What I have succeeded in doing this morning on your show is to correct the impression that they were leading, and I've heard him on other sister stations. They created the impression as though the reduction in the price affects all the 650,000 tons. And that is wrong.
Projected for
They're projected. And I'm saying that, but I said, remember what I said, that Solo can bear me out. I said that they created an impression. They created the impression as though this price reduction affected all the 650,000 tons. Roland, but that is not correct. Like I said, it applies to only about 10% of the projected quantity that Cocoa Board wanted to buy. The second thing is that I've heard them make all sorts of arguments about the fact that they did not leave a mess or what have you. Roland, we have never said anywhere that the mess they left behind is the reason why there is a reduction in price. Like you've asked, there is a general issue of price. In fact, for the first time in so many years, we have had such a sharp fall in the global prices of cocoa, to the extent that all the producing countries, Ghana, the Cote d'Ivoire, and many others, are struggling with sales because of the challenge at the global market. However, it is also important for us to say, and I'll repeat this, that if we need lessons on how to manage Cocoa Board, it certainly cannot come from Fifi and his former boss and the NPP.
Why not?
They mismanaged Cocoa Board, led it recklessly, and ran the Cocoa Board down. Roland,
what correlation has it got to do with farmers not being
let me
paid?
give you a picture of what the NDC inherited. I am saying that we sympathize with those farmers who are in possession of the 10% of the beans that will be bought at a cheaper price now, or at a reduced price.
And who haven't been paid yet, or who be affected by this?
No, those whose beans were bought but have not been paid at the old price will be paid with the old price. It is those whose beans are yet to be bought, which, like I'm saying, is less than even 10%. That the new price affects. And that is the point that I want to make. But like I'm saying, if there is anyone in this country that should give us lessons on how to relate with farmers, especially cocoa farmers, it certainly cannot be Fifi nor the NPP, because they failed. Let me give you a picture of what they left behind, Roland. They left behind a debt of 32.91 billion at Cocoa Board. That's the debt that they left behind. The highest in the
I thought we moved past this, because this one was part of the initial commencement.
You see, it is not about whether it was part of the initial comment. When those who created the mess those who recklessly manage Cocoa Board created a problem at Cocoa Board today, that Cocoa Board is no more financially stable because of the mess that they left behind. Today, are pretending to be experts in cocoa, telling us how to manage Cocoa Board. We need to remind them of their history. In the nearly 80 years of Cocoa Board, the highest debt that was left was under the MPP when Fifi and Co were in the office of the Cocoa Board Chief Executive Officer, 32.9 billion. Cocoa Roads, do you know that they left a debt of 26 billion Ghana cedis? And when they signed, you know, when you look at some of the contracts that they signed in relation to the Cocoa Roads, to the extent that they even signed contracts that when these contractors raise certificate and in 90 days, Cocoa Board is unable to pay, they will now pay with interest. Go and check all the other road contracts given in other sectors and tell me where else that we've made any reckless decision as this. And so, to a large extent, I agree with Solo that some of them, Fifi and Co, the former CEO, his son, and others who are speaking, who are moving from one station to other, it is because the clock of accountability has not yet caught up with them. We believe that when we subject the administration to any forensic audit and let the people of Ghana know the mess that they left behind. No, I know that investigations are ongoing. I know investigations are ongoing. I know investigations are ongoing. I also know that it is better to do a meticulous job and get your watertight evidence than to be in a rush. I know investigations are ongoing. So they've mismanaged Cocoa Board. Again, they have created the impression that Dr. Randy Abbey is not capable of managing Cocoa Board. What is Randy's crime? In fact, the kind of mess that they left behind at Cocoa Board, that Randy is cleaning up, the work he has done in less than a year, none of their chief executives have been able to do that. And I'll show you a few things. Roland, they've raised some points, some not on this platform though, about this 20% pay cut. In fact, he has even raised it and telling us that the 20% cut when farmers are losing revenue.
It's insignificant.
No, for me, that decision by the top management.
The farmers rely solely
the decision by top management.
on their earnings from
the decision by top management to cut down on their salary, to take a pay cut, shows that we have passionate, compassionate human beings in charge of Cocoa Board now. At the time that we had crisis, 2023-2024 season, what were they doing? Go and look at expenditure on their board and expenditure on their management. As we speak today, when you go to Cocoa Board, in Cocoa Board pools of vehicles, you will see the cars, the vehicles that Dr. Opuni used, he left behind. But when his boss took over, they decided to buy brand new cars. And they look, the mess that they created, the likes of Fifi do not have the moral authority to come and talk to us about management of Cocoa Board.
We shouldn't be going personal on the subject.
I'm not going personal. I'm saying that it's my friend.
About when the
and I'm saying that he is attacking a pay cut. And I'm saying that somebody in charge says that there is a challenge. Somebody in charge believes that there is a challenge. Let me sympathize with the farmers. Let me take a pay cut of 20%. If you will not applaud them, you shut up. Because at the time you were in charge, and there was a challenge, there were crises. Well, the shut up is not. If you find that offensive, I withdraw. But I'm saying that if you find that offensive, I withdraw. Don't worry, we will get to the issues. I'm saying that. In conclusion, Roland, if you cannot thank commend Dr. Randy Abbey for agreeing to take a pay cut of 20% because there are crises which has nothing to do with his leadership, but with the mess you created, and you never took any pay cut. You left with all your cars, you left with all the machines, and all of that. If you cannot commend him, you will keep quiet because you will sound ridiculous in your attempts to criticize him for taking a pay cut. When you were in charge, you decided to raise your salaries, you took no pay cuts, you spent more, and you were not sensitive to the farmers. Roland, the cocoa farmer today knows that the NDC better serves their interests. What happened under them? Even spraying of the farms, fertilizers, they decided to cut all those other incentives to the farmers under their rule.
That's a lie.
Today, we have brought
says
those
it's
things
a
back.
lie.
Oh,
Blatant lie.
Roland,
But everything we have said here,
Roland,
says it's a lie.
everything we have said is a lie. Roland,
Why should we go on a search and one of us will be telling us everything you say is a lie?
Yeah, he says
Roland,
it's a lie.
No, but it cannot be.
your producers will find. Roland,
No, but why?
Your producers will find out that there are videos when under
You
the
will not allow
NPP,
that to.
under MPP, even fertilizers sent to the farmers where they wrote not for sale, they cancelled the not and had for sale. Why? On many occasions, we've discussed cocoa on this platform.
Yes.
2023, 2024, there were crises. They couldn't pay the farmers. Who even introduced that buyer financed model? Is it not them? Because when they took the loan and they could not supply to meet the quantity, the syndicated loan couldn't come. It was under them. So if today they have become preachers of whichever financial model, we will not take it from them. We sympathize with the farmers and we are assuring them that as the price will adjust in the international, in the global market, we will continue to raise it. But let me also make the point finally, Roland, that today, even with the reduction in the price, the cocoa farmers have better real income than under the MPP. I've heard people use or make arguments with cement, for example. Today, if you are a cocoa farmer, you are able to buy 32 bags of cement with just one bag of this. Under them, they were buying only 25, 26.
And, if you can do that in 5 minutes, I'll be happy.
Well, he said a lot. According to the NDC MP, it is better to take 2,500 than 3,100. Well noted. I have also noted.
That's not how I said it.
I've also noted the seeming attacks to create the impression that, well, if you do not act as though you know everything about cocoa, you are cocoa expert or not. I've spent 8 years of my life working at Cocoa Board. I did not go to Cocoa Board to sleep. I took time to learn and understand the industry. So I do not speak out of guess, out of experience, built over 8 years, and I know what I'm talking about. I do not want to get in personal conversation as Edem tried to do, but at least I can say that Joseph Boakai Naidu, as chief executive, used the car, the Land Cruiser Dr. Puni bought, used that car for the entire 8 years he was chief executive of Cocoa Board. Today, we are being told of 4 brand new Land Cruisers that have been bought, over 100 pickups that have been bought, which are
for operations. Let it for operations.
Well, of course, Boakai Naidu was taking it to his girlfriend.
For operations. For operations.
Please allow me to make my point. I listen to you.
The last time they even bought
so cars have been bought. Cars have been bought.
As for Boakai Naidu, he was taking it to church.
Operation. Randy still drives his personal car.
Okay, so
those cars were bought for operations.
You said they bought new cars.
For staff, go around the country.
Adam, please allow him when you were talking.
Don't create the impression that Randy bought 100 pickups and he's driving them.
When you were talking.
Yes, but he was also interjecting.
Let me also draw attention to something my friend Solo said. And interestingly, he said that just after saying that if he cannot claim to understand the cocoa industry. And what did Solo say? He said, well, he went to 2023 and realized the price was 9,000.
I never said 9,000.
Okay, what figure did you use?
I used $3,700 as per ton.
Today. That's what you used that figure for today.
No.
And then used a figure for 2023.
I am here, so ask me.
I'm giving you the opportunity. Go
I know he's a lawyer, so he'll respect your rights.
It has nothing to do with law.
If we are doing comparative analysis,
yes.
Today, the international world market price of cocoa is 3,700 per ton, as I checked.
Yes.
Now, this was the same, what do you call it, price per ton in 2023, with an exchange rate of 11.5.
It is not the case. So let me proceed. Let me proceed.
No, but you have not.
Solo. Allow me to proceed.
So he made that analogy.
All right.
Are you going
I am
relating it to the current exchange rate?
I am making the point that in determining cocoa price,
yes,
you do not use the price you find on the internet for today. In determining cocoa price, what you rather do is that you do a weighted average because you cannot sell all your cocoa in a day.
No, but you are not.
Allow me to make my point. Allow me to make my point.
You land in Arabis. Don't go there. Know where you are going. You go. All right, you give me the same.
You give me the direction as to how. All
right. Thank you very much.
Fifi, please go ahead.
Yes,
you have the liberty.
Yes, in determining cocoa price, what you rather do is one, you you come to a conclusion on your weighted average. And the weighted average, you achieve it, one, taking into consideration the sales you have made over the period. You also take into consideration the discount on the light crop beans, and also take into consideration rollover contracts, if any. And based on that, you come to the conclusion. No, wait a minute. He was making the point that, well, MPP was getting X amount at the time, and they did not give the farmer, and they are getting X amount today.
Is that not an argument in
Wait
the
a minute. The
domain?
reference he made to 3,700 does not even come in at all.
Why does it not come in?
Because at the time of determining cocoa price for
Yes.
2024, 2025, 2026.
No, I'm talking about
Wait a
2023.
minute.
I'm talking about
I am talking
2023.
about today because
But you are discussing two
would you
issues.
allow me to talk?
All right.
Thank you very
So
much.
allow him to
I will allow him. I will allow him.
At the time, you see, cocoa price had already been determined by August last year. The year ends September the following year. At the time of determining the price, managers of Cocoa Board and the committee chaired by the finance minister, which is the producer price review committee, came and told us that they've done the assessment, they've done the weighted average, and the average price they will realize was 7,200.
7,200.
7,200
Ghana city.
dollars
Okay.
per ton.
Yes.
Based on that,
Yes.
they were giving the cocoa farmer $5,040 as the price they were offering to the cocoa farmer.
Which amounts to what percentage?
So, please, you are not leading me. Allow me to make the point. Take your notes. Thank you very much. After telling us that they were going to make 7,200, today they come back and say that, well, we said 7,200, but it's not 7,200, it's now 4,000. How did they arrive at that figure? Because by the time you determine your weighted average, it is based on the sales you have made and the projections you've done on the market. So by just coming to say that, well, I said 7,200, it's no more 7,200, it's
So you made the point.
4,100.
Now, Fifi-
How did you arrive at the
Now, Fifi,
4,100?
substantively,
Because, you know what, this whole conversation about why we are here is as a result of the fact that they failed to take advantage of the market.
It's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true. We will not listen.
Please.
You
Make
said
your
I was
point.
lying.
Make your
Nobody will
make your
listen.
notes.
You
Make your-
You want me to interrupt you?
Make your
When you
notes.
do,
But
I have
you said I was
not.
lying.
No, gentlemen.
You said
No,
not.
You called me a liar on live
please.
TV.
I have not. So allow me to
You
make
said I
the
was
point.
lying. This is a lie.
Okay.
A fat lie.
Yes, you've established that it's a fat lie. So you will show us why it's a
yes,
fat lie when your time
All
comes.
The
right.
people who, when they determined the price,
Yes.
as I said, it was 7,200. Today, are telling you 4,100. And they say that there's nothing wrong with it and the price has changed. How did it change? You do not determine price based on assumptions. You determine price based on sales made and projections.
What are you saying?
Would you
It's not
listen?
assumption.
Would you listen?
It's not assumption.
Solo, would you listen?
But you are educating the person.
No, it's okay, it's okay.
Assumption, what's the difference?
No, please. Go
It's
ahead.
assumptions that you make to arrive at
The
the...
assumption
it's okay.
is not based on your figment of your imagination.
Hey, please,
it's
please,
based
please,
on
please,
data.
it's okay.
But what
You
you are
said somebody
saying,
should
but
know
you are
it's okay,
making
gentlemen.
projections. It's assumption.
Gentlemen.
All things being equal.
You know what?
Put their mics off. Put their mics off. Put their mics off.
The needless
Put their-
interruption
put-
will not
put-
allow
no,
us
Solo,
to make
Solo.
the conversation proceed.
Please put their mics off for me. Okay, Solo.
But you must.
No, please.
All right.
Let Fifi.
Fifi go.
learn.
I promise I won't
Fifi.
even come in
Fifi, this is your point. Wrap it up in 30 seconds, and
No,
then I'll ask a question.
I cannot wrap it up in 30 seconds because there are a lot of things that have been said.
because of the time,
And there's the
because of the
need
time.
for me to also correct them. And unfortunately, they will not even allow me to proceed. Thank you. So anyone who says that the farmer must be paid based on 4,100 is not being honest with the cocoa farmer. And they are telling us that, well, they even took advantage of the market. If you took advantage of the market and you told us we're going to realize 7,200, why are you now offering 4,100? If you took advantage of the market and you sold at the right time, why are you now saying that your FOB price should be 4,100, not the 7,200 you promised the cocoa farmer? And this whole conversation is about the farmer. You made promises to the farmer that I shall pay you 5,040. It is a guaranteed minimum price to the cocoa farmer. So the farmer proceeds to make investment based on that figure. They will contract laborers to work on the farm. They will buy fertilizers based on that. They will buy fungicides, among other things, on the promise from government. Halfway, And it is the first time in the history of the cocoa industry where cocoa
How
farmer
many
price,
farmers are affected with this new price trend?
all cocoa farmers. And that is one thing, Edem.
Because I'm asking because
Yes.
of what he said. Because he says
Because
because he says that they had projected in
Just few
excess of
farmers.
600,000,
Yes.
and that 580,000 plus of the beans by way of the bags or the tonnage had been taken from the farmers.
Roland.
And so when it comes to the minor season or the end season, at the end of the day, the farmers that will be affected by this new price, he claims.
It's not selected farmers unless the person is not addressing his mind to how cocoa is harvested. The farmer who harvested August last year will still harvest today.
It's the same farm.
It's the same
The
farm.
same farmer.
It's the same farmer because if I harvest a part of my crop, the main crop September last season, I'll be harvesting the light crop this time round. So you do not say that because you've bought a certain quantity. So it is some selected farmers who will be affected and others will not be affected.
And Adam also made some comments I thought that you should also correct, and perhaps if you glean from your numbers when you were a cocoa board, you know that there's this negative equity
You see, they talk of-
position and then also the positive equity position of cocoa board, whether it is pre-2017 and then pre-2025. And because you say you were privileged to be there for 8 years, perhaps you
yes.
can address
He
that.
talked about
that
better-
they made that your administration
I'll
made
address
positive
all
equity,
those concerns.
and you bequeath them negative equity for cocoa board.
The persons who talk about better managers of cocoa are the persons who are not paying cocoa farmers for continuous 4 months. The persons who claim to be better managers of cocoa are the people who, for the first time in the history of the cocoa industry, are reducing how much the cocoa farmer is supposed to get by selling the cocoa. And they claim these are the better managers of the cocoa industry. It's as if Cocoa Board, when MPP took over in 2017, it was all rosy, everything was perfect. They bequeathed to the MPP administration at the time 19.6 billion. 19.6 billion in 2017.
It's not true. I have the financial statement.
Yeah, we all have.
We have the financial statement.
So let me proceed.
It's not true.
Yeah.
Please, the
19
financial
He said he
statement
wants
is
to
here.
proceed. He was there for 8 years.
Can
You were not there.
Roland, can I give you
You
an
and I were not
information?
there.
You know,
Can I give you an information?
would you
But the information you
please
also
allow him to
allow
land.
me-
This is
Allow him
would
to
you
allow him to
allow
land.
me? Would
Please,
you allow me?
Fifi,
Roland,
you've been allowed.
proof.
No,
Apart
Because
from-
I can prove the 32 billion.
Apart from that,
32.9 billion.
apart from
they left.
that,
financial
We should-
statement is
Is
there.
there? Our financial
Please
statement
go
is
ahead.
there.
Go ahead.
apart from that,
No, but are you letting him
was no
proceed
Oh
on the
my
fact
goodness.
that he
This is
has
Roland, this is important.
you know what?
Shown in
There,
the
there was a
figure. That
reason
is
why
not
when
true.
Adam came here, he was acting as though he owns the show and he determines how the show is run.
He doesn't own the show.
No.
Forget
You have two
that is immaterial.
But then you are a backing vocalist to Adam.
that is
I'm a
Yes,
dancer,
you
I'm a
are a
dancer.
backing vocalist to Adam.
Guys, I am supposed to be
No,
sitting
no,
with
so-
Artist Ajagba. I'm supposed to be sitting
Roland,
with
You
all the
are a
directors.
backing
I
vocalist.
am
You
here.
are singing from
You
the
have
same Igbo.
just been brought
Roland,
to come and
Roland.
party for you.
You are,
gentlemen,
you are
let me-
singing
let
from
me
the
have
same
something.
Igbo.
Roland, before
In
you come in, the point is that-
2017, would
Let
you
me have
listen?
some
I listen to you.
What I'm
Adam.
making is that-
Adam and
Adam,
Solo.
the point we are
Adam
making
and
Would
Solo.
you kindly
Adam and
keep
Solo.
mute and allow me to proceed?
19 billion.
Because the financial
You sit
statement
there to
has
talk
also
about
I have the
you sit there to talk
financial
about better managers
Adam,
of the
please.
cocoa industry,
I
and you
have
can't
the
pay farmers for
financial
4 months and
Adam,
better
Adam,
management.
Adam, what I'm saying is that
Indeed,
for the
as for that one, you want to run away from
I'll have to
it.
close the
I
show.
thought you were singing from the same Igbo. Why do you want to run away?
just lied.
When the
There was
MPP
nothing
took
like that.
when the MPP took over in
Let's
2017,
all have a bite.
the NDC administration
Allow
then
Fifi to
had
talk.
procured 1.8 billion, and the 1.8 billion was to finance the cocoa industry for. If you want this further information on this, then probably you need more time.
Yes.
1.8 billion to buy cocoa for 2016-2017 cocoa season. By December 30, there was not one Ghana cedi available to the new managers of Cocoa Board. And Cocoa Board had to go to the Bank of Ghana to raise a facility to finance the cocoa industry.
That is not true.
And these persons are here now claiming that, well, that is the better management of cocoa.
What you said, is that a response to my question about whether the arguments in the public domain about the negative equity of Cocoa Board
there are a lot of things. There are a lot of
and
things
then
that
the
have been
positive
said.
equity of Cocoa Board pre-2017?
So,
is that the response?
So let me give you a direct response. The direct response, please. The person is asking a question and you want to ask a further question. Why are you the host?
No.
So allow me to make the point. Thank you very
Fifi,
much.
please go ahead.
Yes, in 2020 24, the MPP then projected that we're going to raise 3.2 billion from cocoa sales. By the end of the season, we had raised 3.9 billion from cocoa sales. So if they are talking about debt, how the $700 million, what was the effect on the finances of Cocoa Board? And they are only making reference to debt. They are not making reference to the fact that by the end of that year, you had a revenue of 3.9 billion. Does it not take part of, please? If you want to tell the whole show about yourself, then please go ahead and do so.
You have had your turn.
So you go.
No, it's needless.
No, all right.
Thank you very much.
Fifi, please go ahead. Solo.
So, when you talk about debt, it is equally important that it's actually not debt, it's actually liability exposure. And your liability exposure, when you bring in your revenue, because we are talking about buying juice sacks, we are talking about buying other industry input. So the money that came in, what did the money go into? And the last thing, let me say this, the last thing the NDC should do is to start talking about how Cocoa Board money has been used. Because if the truth come out, the kind of expenses, what monies have been spent on by the new managers.
You mean currently, over the last 12 calendar months?
You have this information, you are not telling the people of this
Please
country.
allow him to talk.
No, but it's serious. No, but you see,
Please conclude.
we are building a nation.
You have your time.
All right.
Yes, Solo talked about deregulating the cocoa industry. I think that is a very fantastic conversation. I know his boss when he was part of the MPP cabinet. It was one of the things he raised.
Who is his boss?
Honorable Alan Martin. It is a position he holds. I share a different view, and of course, I'm entitled to hold a different position to that. That suggestion, which the NDC is now pushing, for me, I believe that is going to push the farmers to a point where, if we are not careful, we will reduce cocoa farming to all other cash crops or all other farm produce as we have experienced over the years. Because cashew, for example, you have a situation where at the beginning of this season, the price may be, say, 100. Halfway the season, the price drops to 30, and there are no mechanisms there to cushion the farmers. And if that should happen, the question you should ask yourself that, do the farmers have the capacity to be able to absorb the shocks if they do happen? And I believe that the farmers are not at the stage where they can do that. If you go to a place like Ecuador, for example, where they do large-scale cocoa farming, the farmers can manage such a situation. In our case, where the farmer, the average is about 2 hectares, the farmers do not have the capacity. One of the things the NDC did in 2015, 2016 was to say that the farmers were going to get seedlings to rehabilitate their farms that were affected by cocoa swollen shoot virus disease. The evidence is that when the farmers were given the opportunity to do that, they lacked the capacity and could not do that. So when the MPP took over and started rehabilitation, we had to go to the aid of the farmers in helping them do that. I think they have demonstrated over the years that before you can get into the conversation about deregulation, there must be some capacity building, build the farmers to a certain level before you can introduce such a policy. Because if you do, the reality is that the farmers may end up leaving cocoa farming entirely. And I do not think that that is in the interest of the
did it affect Cocoa Board when you were there? The domestic debt exchange program?
Yes, Cocoa Board had some arrangement with some banks. And then I think at a point they had to renegotiate it over a period of time, and that's what happened.
My time is up, unfortunately. Let's move.
No, Roland, no, you are not being fair to me.
No, my time is up. It's on me.
No, you can shortchange that because
You were rudely interrupting and you not allow the conversation to proceed.
He spoke the mind of
How can I speak his mind? Just like Adam was speaking your mind. Just like Adam was speaking your mind.
You are talking his mind. You are two MPP.
Oh.
You are two MPP.
I am representing.
Please.
No, my time is up. Editorially.
Producer. No. Let's 10 minutes. You can't bring 4 people here.
I think you and Fifi have 2 chances.
No, producer.
They should give us time to talk about
You
it.
cannot favor the MPP.
So what can we do?
You cannot favor them, giving him second one.
Okay, Dr. Zato, Dr.
You cannot.
No, they say 1 minute. I should give Dr. Zato 1 minute.
They should give- okay.
They are speaking to me, so don't worry.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the
Shadrach
opportunity.
too is here.
I'm really
Shadrach
grateful.
says that 1 minute to Zato, and then you, nothing for you.
I'm really,
Thank you. That's good.
I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for that 1 minute. One, either by acts of commission or omission, farmers are worse off under this government. They need a solution to deal with that. They have to do that. Two, we should look at the cacophony of bad decisions that the CEO has made, and then we come to realize that if you look at them, from the price they set, price they set last year, from the fact that for 4 months you've not paid the report, and then all of a sudden you will see the poor decisions he has made, and then you realize that celebrating today is a celebration of what? Mediocrity. We should not reduce that to better prices. Cocoa board deserves better and should do better. You see, there is something that happens whenever you...
You were still taking salary at Cocoa Board as spokesperson for NAPO. You were not even going to the office.
Please.
No. Somebody takes a break.
Gentlemen, 1 minute. Please, you don't malign anybody. Don't malign anybody. Adam,
You were taking Cocoa Board salaries. And somebody takes a
I'm
break. You
forced.
need to commend the person. I will not allow you
the people of this country.
Randy on this program.
By building a kitchen
in 1 year.
We can't even hear you.
Randy in 1 year has done better
It's
than
as a
your 8
result
years.
of the thievery.
Randy
The criminality.
Randy Abe in 1 year has done better than
There are thunderstorms and missiles being thrown in the sea.
Randy Abe in 1 year has done far better
Okay,
than the entire
point
PC
made.
government.
I'll be giving 1 minute to wrap up.
People are just bitter. You are shocked at the mess you left behind. The
So,
gentleman is not
in
even
wrapping up,
complaining.
I was very happy when
You can attack Randy Abe and go scot-free.
rehabilitation.
Nobody is attacking.
But
He didn't make any
decided
poor
deliberately
decision. You need to
to
take
leave
that.
out the amount of
Surely
money
attacking, you are not saying
that they
anything like that.
expended in rehabilitating the
What
cocoa
Randy
farm.
has done in 1 year.
As a matter of fact, Cocoa Board contracted $350 million to rehabilitate 156,000 hectares of cocoa farms. Fifi Boafo and his administration decided to rehabilitate only 40,000 hectares. And the rest of the money, they top. They have
a lie.
That have to be investigated.
Now, if you want to look smart and fashionable,
Board chairman over there was giving the son
If you wa-
contract jute bags,
if-
board chair,
if-
during
if-
the era.
if-
Board
if
chair.
you want to-
Please don't lie though.
Me, I'm liable.
if you want to look smart and fashionable, visit any Woodin boutique nationwide today. Woodin offers amazing collection of authentic fabrics all ready to wear.
They are
Because I'm
giving
reading it.
contract for rehabilitation, which costs more.
Please,
than
I'm
what
taking
they
a break.
have
I'll be right
to do.
back. Okay.